am Max Akesi. I'm the president of Agile Austin, and I was also involved with the planning. When we got together, we really deliberately thought, what do we want it to be about? It goes and comes. Be ready, okay? Be ready for that. And we thought to ourselves, we want to help people evolve in this world that is changing faster than it ever has been. We want people to come together and learn about how to leverage AI in a product space, okay? Step it up and do some other things with this world that is changing as fast as possible. So evolve with agility was the theme, and thank you for being here to learn about this. Now, from last year, do you know what the #1 feedback was that we got from last year from our conference? Oh, wait, how did you figure that out? Huh? How did you figure that one out? Hold on, we're going through the slides here and everything. Hold on. So, the #1 feedback was coffee. And it wasn't just feedback. It was like, hey, why did the coffee end at 10 a.m.? Oh, by the way, I would have enjoyed the conference a lot more if there was coffee. Great speakers, great venue, but you could really have coffee all day. We got like 50 comments about that. So you know what? We're Agilists. You spoke. We listened. We got you coffee all day. Thank you. And because coffee isn't free, we got a coffee sponsor too. So when you go get coffee, say thank you to Resumex. Hey, thank you. We appreciate you. Say that and chat with them. Yeah. And so we care to hear about your feedback again, but it's not going to be about coffee this time. On the back of your badge, there are QR codes. One is for feedback, and the other one is for the schedule. We're going paperless, folks. So we want to hear from you, and we want to save the trees at the same time. So use that QR code, just not for coffee. And our schedule for today, I don't even want to go into, like, our speakers are just top notch. I was semi-involved in the speaker selection committee, and it's just great. The variety that we have from the product space, the AI space, the transformational space, it's phenomenal. Enjoy it, learn stuff, and I just have one call to action that I'll mention afterwards for all of you, right? And so, who's Agile Austin? I encourage people just to go to our site. Our site rocks. It tells you everything about us. But we collaborate, we connect, we grow. We want to use agility to continuously deliver value to customers faster and better. That's what we do. That's what we do. We have a YouTube channel where we put our 5 to 7 meetups a month that we do. Free content out there. Great speakers from all over the world. It's all there. Subscribe to it. Meetup. Subscribe to that, and you'll get the communications of our quarterly in-person meetups, our virtual ones. There's just so much going on. I encourage everybody to just plug in, okay? Learn about it. Agile Austin, we've been here since 2007. This is our 12th KAA conference. And we're still here, folks. We're still here. Thank you to the UT Commons Conference. I cannot explain what a pleasure it is as a nonprofit to have an event at a nonprofit venue. They are awesome. They collaborate with us in everything, and I just want to say thank you to all of them. And thank you to all the people that helped plan this. Thank you. It just doesn't happen, right? Hundreds of people to coordinate stuff, like hundreds of people attending virtually and in person. Things have to happen. Thank you to our planners. Can't praise you enough. Our sponsors, you make it happen. You make it happen. Oh, I'm not speaking close to the ball, to the cube. There you go, folks. I got my cube here. So, thank you to our sponsors. You make it happen. Thank you. And specifically go visit our sponsor booths that are out there. We got StarPath Consulting that are coming up here soon, and then we got Miro, Pragmatic, Resumex. Go by them. Say thank you for supporting KAA, and just chat to them a little bit, okay? We really appreciate them. This year, we listened to feedback. We looked at the trends that are happening, and the Agile environment and the broader environment, there's just a lot of career changes that are happening. Whether you intended to do it or whether it was done upon you, we specifically created a career hub. They're gonna be career coaches. It's just a simple fact that sometimes it's just good to just brainstorm with someone about things, right? It's not about, per se, finding the next job, recruiting, all this. It's just about having a career hub where you talk about your career. So pass by our career hub, please, and sign up and everything to have a chat with a career coach. Excellent. So I would like to invite up our title sponsor, Carolyn and Jed, okay, from StarPath. And I'm just gonna say very quickly, I am so excited about StarPath because they really talk about one of the biggest impediments that I have always experienced in my 20 plus years of having to work in the tech, big tech, in the Agile world. So I'm really happy that they're talking about this key thing. Carolyn and Jed, thank you to StarPath Consulting, folks.
All right, thank you, Max. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, no.
All right. Oh, there we go. Hey, good morning, Austin. How you doing? Good, awesome. My name is Jed. I'm a database architect. I'm not a Scrum Master, straight up now. I'm a database architect, and I worked with a lot of Agile teams over my career. But I just want to check. The coffee's awesome. But later in the day, right, you want some beer? Come on, you want some ice cream, right? So keep listening in.
My name's Carolyn Babb. I am founder of StarPath. I am a recovering HR director.
Beer.
And I happen to be the daughter of a master brewer. So I do like beer. I like ice cream too. The Agile Manifesto says individuals and interactions over processes and tools. But do you know that you're focusing in the right areas?
So right there, individuals and interactions. First thing, but it gets missed all the time. We see it all the time. It gets missed because we think that the Agile process we're using is wrong. We think that the tools we're using are wrong, but it comes down to teamwork. That's the big thing. So if you're here today, if you're looking for something different, or if you're looking for a game changer for your teams, come and talk to us, please. So 7 hours a week are lost to poor teamwork. That's a lot, people. If you gained that, if you took that time back by having good teamwork, you're talking like a sprint every quarter. That's a lot of extra productivity, or that's innovation time for your developers. Whatever it is, that is great time.
So when it comes to developing our teamwork, our human interaction skills, the majority of us know that this is important, but only 10% of us know how to actually make it happen.
So I'm going to ask you, I assume you measure capacity. I assume that you measure burn down. You probably do these things. You might measure results. But do you measure these? Do you measure trust? Do you measure conflict, commitment, accountability? I'm guessing you probably don't, and you need to be doing it. These are critical things to be checking on. And StarPath has the training and the tools to help you do that.
All right, so this is an actual StarPath client. It's an AI company. They came to us and they said, you know what, we're doing okay, but we think we could be better. So we did an assessment. From this, we did some team workshops. We did some one-on-one coaching. We worked with this team. And you can see here their progress after 3 months.
So this looks great. They were smart enough to look at this and look at the numbers, and they said green is not the definition of done. We've got more to work to do. These people are competitive. They're AI. They want to beat you. And so they knew they had to keep working on this. StarPath knows that. We don't come in and assess you and train you and say, hey, good luck, go do your thing. We stick with you. the 5 behaviors can be reassessed. You can monitor your progress, and you can continue to keep working on it, and we're here to do that with you.
So when he saw the results of that assessment, the CEO of this company actually said to me, we've never before seen this kind of collaboration, and this resulted in a 33% increase in our sales.
Those are good numbers, and they said, yes, this was directly attributed to the work that they did with StarPath and what they learned.
So we believe in what we do. We've seen it work. We want you to experience it. Please refer us to your company. Come get information from our booth. Take it back to your company. If your company spends $2,500 with us, we will send you $500.
That's not very much to spend. Yeah.
Buy your Agile Austin membership.
It could even buy extra. Oh wait, no, the coffee's covered, right? So hey, come talk to us. We're at the booth or at our table. Come chat with us about this. We've got a productive conflict workshop that we're going to squeeze into 45 minutes at 11 o'clock. But come join us, learn, and then I brought up beer and ice cream. We know you all want that, especially later in the day. So look in your gift bag. There's a green card in there, StarPath card. Fill it out, turn it in. You could win a gift card to Austin Beer Works, or 2 gift cards are in there for Bella Vita Ice Cream, both local Austin businesses. So come and help us support them and help your teams. AI is here. If you can't do teamwork, AI is not going to get everything done for you. You've got to be able to do teamwork. It's the critical missing factor.
You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Love it, StarPath Consulting. Thanks for coming out. Okay, folks, this is tradition. You don't change. Yes, we're Agilists, we respond to change, we're continuously changing, but some things don't change. So what we're gonna do, okay, is that we are gonna take a selfie. So you're gonna act really excited now, all right? You're gonna act really excited, and you're gonna put your hands up in the air, and you're gonna wave. There you go. Oh, why aren't you waving, Alex? There you go. Why aren't you waving? Yay, all right, all right. Okay, folks. Everybody, my one call to action as our keynote speaker starts to come up, one call to action to everybody. There are people around you to all of today. This is not a Zoom call for you folks here, okay? I want you to meet one new person today. New person. If you've met one already, meet another one. It starts now. Meet one new person, because I'm going to ask you, who did you meet? Oh, this person that worked at NetSpend, PayPal. No, learn their names, learn what they do, learn their hobby, meet someone for real. Is that a deal? Thank you. Okay. And I would like to introduce our keynote speaker of today. Thank you, Jay, for being here. He was in Korea until a few days ago. He started a new job. He's gone through a lot, but he's here. So thank you, Jay, for making it. Round of applause for Jay. You want? Later.
All right. Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks for having me. And thanks a lot to Max and Renee for putting up with the fact that they invited me to give this keynote. When I gave this keynote, I hadn't accepted the job at Google yet. I hadn't decided to take my mother to Korea for nearly 2 weeks yet, right before this conference, et cetera. So my communication back and forth was probably a little spotty, but I'm going to try to make up for it here. I've got 25 minutes, I think. I've got a presentation that normally I give anywhere from an hour to 2 hours, but we're going to do the 25-minute version of it here. By the way, how many of you consider yourself AI experts? So small number. That is absolutely okay. At the end of this, I think you'll have a new appreciation for AI and why Agile matters so much. So I looked at the website last night to see the summary, and it was a condensed version of the one I sent, and I saw this one. Jay will explore how agility must evolve. His expertise in AI leadership and strategic adaptability will challenge Agile practitioners, leaders, and teams to think bigger, move faster, and stay customer-focused while embracing change. That was a really good summary. It's not the one I submitted, but it is really good. So I'm going to do my best to live up to that. I then decided, okay, let me just make sure I'm in the right mindset. So I Googled this last night, and it said a way of thinking that prioritizes flexibility, adaptability, and collaboration to effectively navigate change, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to thank Gemini for that and giving me the context that as I put slides together, hopefully addresses all of that. A quick introduction to me, sort of had a 3-phase career. It started here at the University of Texas, for my Ph.D. program in astrophysics. It's where I got into supercomputing. Then I went through a phase where I worked at supercomputing centers, including coming back here to the University of Texas with an office in this building and having a supercomputer in this building many years ago, and creating the Texas Advanced Computing Center, which is now just up the road here at the research campus. And sort of this third phase has included continuing to work in HPC and adding AI and quantum computing, but also broadening out to cover more technologies, more of the space. And yes, I own a bar. I saw that they put that in the bio as well. So I hope you all enjoy your beer and ice cream after the day ends. But if you ever are downtown, there's a great bar called Remedy where I'm the spirits dictator, and I promise you my spirits collection is awesome. So I hope you'll come down there sometime. So AI changes everything. Is this a true statement? Well, a lot of luminaries and thought leaders and CEOs have made these grand statements about how it's the most important discovery since electricity. That's a common one they compare it to. More important than the internet, than the web. They make it sound like everything is completely different. I'm probably more along the lines of Fei Li here, at least with respect to the current modes of AI, where she points out it's not really a substitute for human intelligence. And when I'm done in 20 minutes, I think you'll see that I really believe that. It is not a substitute for human intelligence. In fact, it's a poor facsimile of human intelligence, but it can simulate it really well and be very useful as a tool, just as a calculator and your laptop are useful as tools. It's an incredibly more powerful tool in many ways, but it is still a tool, not a human-like intelligence. Is it inevitable? Well, to this, and I apologize a little bit for the blurriness of this graphic. I need to find a sharper one. But I would say that when people ask me for trends, and every January I give a tech trends for 2025 and beyond for the Austin Forum on Technology and Society. But I say there's really two things that I'll say that are certainties, and they're driving AI. One is human beings want to know what is happening, and they want to know what is happening next. What they really want to know is how can I make whatever is going to happen next work to my advantage? Whether it's protecting my cave clan tribe from the clan across the river or the saber-toothed tiger, or understanding if that rumbling thunder means disaster for my tribe or whatever. We want to know what is going to happen next and how is it going to affect us, and can we turn it to our advantage? And we may not be living in caves anymore. We may have this complex society we've built. But there's a human desire to understand what's going on, to understand what's going to happen next, and to manipulate it. And that is built in to us as humans. That is a certainty, and it drives AI because now we can use computational techniques to understand first what used to happen, database queries, what's happening now, business intelligence tools, and what might happen next with predictive analytics and AI. So it was inevitable that we were going to create data-driven, computationally powered techniques to understand what is happening, what's going to happen next, and how can we turn it to our advantage. People will always want, they'll always need hindsight, but they'll always want insight and foresight. The next trend is that data scale will continue to increase exponentially. Barring a zombie apocalypse or something equally horrendous, we will continue to produce data at increasing rates, not just due to Moore's law and the computing devices that create data, but due to proliferation of these devices. And we haven't really begun to instrument the global environment yet. Yes, we have pretty good satellite coverage, but we don't have sensors in every building, in every room, in every floor, every street, et cetera. So the amount of data is just going to continue to increase. So that gives me some context for machine learning. So not many people raised their hands here on the AI question. How many of you did linear regression at some point, or at least remember the term? Okay, so about half of you and the other half have forgotten that you did it at some point, which is also fine. So is linear regression machine learning? Is it AI? Or is it that linear regression statistics thing that we did a long time ago? The answer is yes, it's both. It's kind of the hello world problem of machine learning. You get a bunch of input data that's known. You calculate a model for that data. It's not perfect. Look at that. That red line, not many blue dots are on that red line, but you can easily tell that red line is the best model for all those blue dots. And then in the future, if I give you an X point, you're going to calculate a Y value on that red line. You know it's going to have an error bar, but that's a machine learning model right there. And we use these in industry all the time in fancier ways than linear regression. There's all kinds of other techniques, and enterprise uses these all the time. How many of you have seen or heard of any of the methods on this page? Good number, awesome. So that's all forms of classical machine learning. So what is deep learning? Well, deep learning is really not that different. You're still trying to find patterns in data, but it's kind of inspired by neurons. Make no mistake, it is not exactly how human brain neurons work. I would say inspired by it, like when you see those movie trailers and they say inspired by real events, in which case you know it doesn't have a whole lot to do with the real events, but it's still, it's going to be entertaining at least. So you build these neural networks and you have inputs like X values and outputs like a Y value, except with neural networks, it's better for unstructured data. So you may have inputs that are pictures and outputs that are classifications, like there's a dog or a cat or a sandwich in the picture. And it's all these computational math that we're not going to get into in the 25-minute version, where you're detecting features and you're classifying it, and then you're giving some output at the end. And there's a lot of math that goes into each one of these neurons, and there's a linear regression part of that. So that real simple linear regression, hello world of classical machine learning, it still has a role even in deep learning. And so in summary here, what I would say is that machine learning and deep learning are approaches in which you take known inputs and known outputs and you train a model that's the best model at converting the inputs to the outputs. It may not be perfect, but it's the best you've got. And then you can use that model on new inputs to calculate outputs with some degree of confidence. In the linear regression model, you have an error bar. In the recognizing cats, dogs, and sandwiches and pictures, you would get a confidence value of how confident it was that there is a cat or a dog or a picture. Now, I said known inputs and known outputs to train, so your model can then be used on known inputs to get new outputs. Remember all those times you do CAPTCHAs, you log into something and it says, mark the squares where there's a bicycle or a car or a crosswalk? You are being used to label training data. So they appreciate your free effort on all of that. And there actually were some programs where you can get paid a pittance for doing that same thing, for labeling unstructured data that goes into training these models. So deep learning techniques are much better than classical machine learning techniques at unstructured data like audio and video and text. But you need staggering amounts of it. But now we have big data, we have powerful processors, we have new algorithms. And so this becomes really, really powerful when you have lots of data. And it's really easy to start thinking that it's exact, which it's absolutely not. If you buy a $5 calculator at Walmart and you type in an equation, is the answer it produces exact? Yes. If you spend $1 billion on a generative AI model and ask it to calculate a complex equation, is it going to get the right answer all the time? No. Okay, good. So you all know that. So even in predictive machine learning and image classification, these techniques aren't perfect. So you all are probably figuring out here that on the left, some of it is fried chicken and some of it is cockapoos. And it probably is taking you a little while on a few of them. The right one is harder for me. Is it a Chihuahua? Is it a blueberry muffin? Right? You all will get, I think all of you would eventually get each one of these squares right. 100%. Deep learning algorithms aren't that, because they actually don't conceptually know symbolically what a Chihuahua is or a blue muffin is. They're finding patterns in data. You already know what's behind the pattern. You know what a Chihuahua is. You know what a blueberry muffin is. But the computer on this image recognition task is just, it's been trained on some images and it's finding patterns, but it doesn't symbolically know what these things are. So it's not perfect. That leads us to generative AI. ChatGPT launched, it's hard to believe it was less than 3 years ago. In fact, it's less than 2.5 years ago. It had 100 million users, faster than any app in history in just over a month. But why was it so popular? And why did the company that invented it, which I also work for, but I'm not speaking for today, why did they not were they not the first ones to leverage the success of the generative pre-trained transformer methods? Well, the reason that the big companies didn't jump on it right away is because it's imprecise, it hallucinates, it makes some mistakes. The reason a startup jumped on it right away is because there was no brand value to lose for a startup, but it turns out people are willing to accept imprecision if they can converse with it, if it seems human. And so we've known for a long time, many of us in AI, that conversational interface was the ultimate interface. It's the one interface that everybody can interact with, either by voice or by typing. A conversational interface is really, really powerful. People who don't know how to use computers can still talk to an AI now. So conversational and no expertise at all required meant that this was going to be a success, and the big companies have realized, wow, people are really willing to put up with some hallucinations and some inaccuracies as long as most of the time it does well. And that probably shouldn't have been a surprise in hindsight. How many of you are perfect in every answer you give? How many? Raise your hands. One person in the room says they're perfect in every. Y'all should get to know him. So the reality is you depend on human beings that are not perfect all the time, and you're not perfect. So depending on an AI trained on all the world's data, that's way more powerful than any one human being, even if it's also still not perfect. So what is generative AI real quickly? It's generating based on a prompt. It's looking at that coded neural network of all the world's information, and you give it a prompt, and it uses that prompt to find the parts of the coded neural network and start generating information relevant to the prompt. That's a really powerful thing. Now, you think it's generating words, just like you might have thought it was recognizing chihuahuas or blueberry muffins. Nope, it's just generating patterns, and in this case, it's generating really parts of words, tokens, they're called, or parts of images. So again, these generative AI things don't understand the concepts that you understand as a human, but they're using the same pattern matching to start generating new patterns that exist within its trained model that are relevant to the prompt you enter, which is why the better prompt you give it, the better your answer will be. This is too complicated for the 25-minute thing, but this is the seminal paper published by Google in 2017 called Attention is All You Need. And the attention is about paying attention to the right part of the model. If you train all the world's patterned information into a model, then your prompt determines which part of the model you're giving attention to, which is why if you ask a ChatGPT or Gemini or something a simple question, it gives you a simple answer. But if you say, play the role of the world's expert on such and such and tell me more about it, it will then talk to you like a world expert because it's going through the expert literature on that because you've given the right keywords for it. So it's very important to know that all the information is in there. Your prompt determines where the attention goes into the model and what it pulls out of the model. And so it's generating tokens and moving forward in this pre-trained transformer model, but it can sometimes be wrong. And I apologize if this is not quite clear enough. This is one of the famous first examples of how these things hallucinate. Because again, they're not symbolic. Even your calculator is doing symbolic math. But the generative pre-trained transformer models are doing statistical predictions. So this was the question here, this famous question asked over a year ago was, what's the world record for traversing the English Channel on foot? Okay, so all humans get that that's not actually done. It gave multiple incorrect answers, and they're all very confident, right? People do this sometimes too, but probably not to this question. So this is a case of where it's worse than a human. A human would have scratched their head and said, what? That's not possible. Or maybe at the most, maybe a deep sea diver could do it, but it would take, days or something. But it made up answers because it tickled the part of the trained network of English Channel, about distances, about people traveling on foot and foot speed. but it didn't symbolically connect all this together in a way that said, wait, that's not actually possible. Can also do it in images. These are great image generators. And here's a nice prompt with a lot of details to generate this dwarf right here. Can any of you see any issues in this dwarf off the top of your head? Yeah. Did you actually see that, or did you just know that because they always mess up on hands? Yeah. Not enough fingers on this hand, and the hands are really tough because almost everybody has 5 fingers. But if you train on a model and I hold my hand up like this, how many fingers do you see? 0. So the computer's just doing pattern matching of images that have from 0 to 5 fingers, as opposed to knowing it should be 5. So you get problems like that. You might notice the battle axe doesn't line up on both sides. You might notice the chain mail came out as plate mail. There's some other issues in this as well. So they hallucinate very confidently. And you might say, well, Jay, aren't those problems fixed? Surely they should be fixed. People should be using agile approaches, right? And fixing these things. This I generated this morning based on a Wired column that I read early this morning. Turns out if you go into Google search and say, what's the meaning of, and you make up a ridiculous phrase like, never throw a poodle at a pig. I mean, it's probably a good idea, but it is not a used idiom. But it will give you a derivation of that idiom very confidently, even tied it into some biblical references here. It's just not right. And nonetheless, the generative AI market is predicted to explode. And I might sound like I'm ragging on generative AI, but I use it every day. And there's an important pro and con to it that I'm going to get to, and why I think Agile is so important in this era of AI. The market is going to explode because people like using it, and it is valuable to use. And you'll go through phases where you think, oh, it's messing up, it's not doing what I want. If you give it better prompts and you think about what it was trained on, you can get great information out of it. I've taught myself a lot of what I know about quantum computing from LLMs. Why is that? How much bullshit information is there about quantum computing? Virtually none. Nobody has time to make up weird stuff about quantum computing. They make up weird stuff about politics and things like that. But no one sits around thinking, man, I'm going to make a conspiracy theory about quantum computing. So virtually all of the content it's trained on in quantum computing is written by experts. So its ability to hallucinate there is greatly reduced. I have found an error or two in using it that way, but very limited. It's really useful when the body of work it's trained on true data. Now, because it's statistical, it can still err even if trained on 100% facts, because again, it's not symbolic, it is statistical, and a pattern could go astray in that token prediction string. But its odds of doing that are very low when the data quality is high that's been coded into it, and your prompt is clear and detailed. So I'm going to give you a picture of the updated Venn diagram here. Artificial intelligence is a great big field. Right now, the dominant form that we use in the world is machine learning. It used to be expert systems. How many of you have heard of expert systems? Good number. Generally, the older crowd in here has heard of expert systems. That was basically big nested if then else kinds of statements and things. So we don't use that technique anymore very much. It's still used some, but machine learning and its subset of deep learning and its subset of generative AI are the dominant methods. So is it a revolution or evolution? Yes. You need to understand these things to understand your role in helping us make this even better. It's basically advanced pattern matching. It lacks the context of human understanding. It finds patterns in zeros and ones. You may think it's patterns in dogs and cats, but in images, but those are just RGB values in an image file. It's giving you the best statistical answer, but not a guaranteed right answer. And in generative AI, it lacks semantics. So it's generating content, but it's not really analyzing problems. In fact, ask ChatGPT what a reasoning model is, and it will tell you it simulates reasoning. So we call these things reasoning models, but they're just better at doing generative AI so that they can simulate reasoning as opposed to true reasoning. And they're very honest about that. So the inaccuracies can be very compelling, but high-risk information. So in predictive AI, what needs to be done, a very short list, Always get the best data possible, confirm quality, data wrangling, data engineering. Don't always assume you need predictive AI. Sometimes good old statistics and business intelligence are still the best tools and more precise when they are the right tools. And test models for many cases don't use outside the scope of the training data and so on. In generative AI, use things like retrieval augmented generation to train the LLMs on your data and improve the accuracy, or train your own model using your own data and test thoroughly. Notice that I said test in both of these. Test thoroughly many times, since they use entropy to generate slightly different results each time. So my personal thoughts on this as we wind down, machine learning and deep learning based predictive AI is provenly useful. It's a powerful tool. It's particularly good at image recognition. I teased, AI about chihuahuas and blueberry muffins, but it's better at recognizing images that may turn into tumors than humans are now, as long as they've been trained on enough evolutionary images of that. So it's really, really useful. Generative AI is also proving its value. You can converse with a team of experts, and you can ask for all the expertise in the world that's ever been published is embedded in it. So a great book is Jeff Wood's The AI-Driven Leader. You should think of generative AI as a team of experts that costs a lot less than the six-figure salaries you'd normally have to pay them, and it can even create roles for different people in your buffers, and you can have this wonderful team of experts to coach you up on things. But it is not the path to AGI. That is a personal statement, doesn't represent any of the companies that I work for, but a lot of people are like me in believing this is absolutely not the kind of AI that will lead to AGI, artificial general intelligence. But you should use it every day while never relying on it 100%. So AI is changing things faster than ever. You may have heard of this quote: the pace of change has never been this fast, yet it will never be this slow again. That was from Justin Trudeau when he was Prime Minister of Canada in 2018, before ChatGPT. What this means is that data and information are growing exponentially. I showed a plot of that earlier. Knowledge appears to be growing super exponentially as well. It's a little more difficult to calculate it, but all the signals like research papers and patents and all that are growing at these rates. So AI-powered timescales are no longer centuries or decades like innovations in agriculture or innovations in machinery. Now innovations are happening in weeks and months. So adapting to new tools and experimenting is important. Flexibility and adaptability are fundamental, and continuous learning is crucial. These rates of change are off the charts. I mean, they're all going so steep, and I wouldn't put too much stock in any one of these charts, but I just gave you a sampling of how people are looking at the rate of change of information and knowledge in the world. And so really, doesn't this sound like a call to embrace agile methods? I mean, these are very powerful, highly useful, but imperfect methods. And to depend on one of these models requires lots of experimenting and training and tweaking and improving the data and improving the model and improving the algorithms that went into training it. And so from a non-agile expert, but a borderline AI expert, I would say that this really calls for agile methods. So I have a few recommendations to close here. Be curious, experiment, and adapt every day in this AI era. Keep up with AI. Saying something has an exponential rate of change is a powerful statement, but there are exponentials and there are exponentials. And this is a very steep exponential. The world of AI is very, very different this month than it was last month. Agentic systems are beginning to dominate already. So things are happening super fast. I would read some of these books. The first one's a great fundamental thing for executives. The last book at the bottom, you should read it. You don't need to think leader. You just need to think, how do I create an AI team that helps me do everything I do better? Is there a lot of information in the world published on agile methods? Absolutely. You'll get good information on Agile from talking to LLMs. And I also encourage you, I'm really glad you're all here. I love Austin tech organizations, which is why I was so happy to be invited to speak to Keep Austin Agile. I run one myself, the Austin Formal and Technology and Society, and I created another one, the Austin AI Alliance, which I still supervise from a board of directors position. I hope you'll come to those as well. And with that, I want to thank you, and I went a few minutes over. Apologies for that, but thank you so much for your attention and for inviting me here today.
Woo, Jay! Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jay, for being out here. We all heard it, folks. A lot of change is happening. So evolve with agility. 3 minutes till the next session. Don't waste time. Grab a coffee. Go to the next session. Thanks for coming out, folks. We'll see you later.